Hello everyone, Luis Perez here with a video highlighting some of the new features in VoiceOver for iOS 13. A quick reminder that accessibility now is its own pane in the Settings app. You no longer have to go through General first. Once you select accessibility, you're going to find VoiceOver listed as the first option under Vision. So let's take a look at what's new in iOS 13 and iPadOS. VoiceOver is now more customizable than ever. There's a new commands option. This shows you either all of the commands that are available for VoiceOver, or you can explore by different categories such as the touch gestures, the keyboard shortcuts, the handwriting support, or the braille screen input. Let's just take a look at touch gestures. And any gesture that is not already taken up by the operating system can be customized. Just choose the gesture, and then choose the command that will be assigned to the gesture. For example, here I'm going to assign a 2-finger swipe to the left and to the right to correspond to turning the rotor clockwise or counterclockwise. Now, if I change my mind, that's not a problem. I can go back out to commands, and at the bottom you're going to find a reset VoiceOver commands. And this is going to reset everything to the default. So that's one way you can customize VoiceOver now in iOS 13. The other thing you can do is use activities. And with activities, you can set up VoiceOver to behave differently depending on the app that you're in. So for instance here, I'm going to set up a new activity. And I'm going to set this up so that it speaks with a different voice when I use the Safari web browser. So I'll go ahead and give this a new name. I can change the voice, and here I'm going to choose a new voice for iOS 13 for US English, and that is the Siri female enhanced voice that's now available. I can also adjust the speaking rate, so maybe I want this voice to speak a little bit faster when I'm using VoiceOver in Safari. And I can also adjust the volume, the verbosity settings, the braille settings, and so on. And what's really cool is that under automatic switching, this is where I can configure this voice and its options to be available only when I'm in Safari. So I'll choose apps, and then I'll locate Safari. There it is. I'll choose Safari, and we're all set. So now let's take a look at how this activity will behave. I'll go ahead and turn on VoiceOver and go to the home screen. I'll navigate with VoiceOver the way I typically would.
Book Creator, Double Easy Reader, Voice Dream Reader, double tap to open.
And you can hear that I'm using the Alex voice. But now let's see what happens when I go into Safari.
Dock, Safari, double tap to open.
Safari. Insights on inclusive learning technology. The website of Luis Perez. Link. Welcome. Current page. Link. Navigation. Landmark. My books. Link.
You can hear that I'm using now the enhanced Siri female voice, and that the speaking rate is much faster because that's what I've configured in the activity for Safari. When I exit out of Safari, I'll go back to the Alex voice, which is my default.
9:30 Safari button.
Now, you may have noticed that at the bottom of the screen, you can see a textual representation of what VoiceOver is reading out loud. This is also a new feature in iOS 13. It's going to be found under Settings for VoiceOver. And it's this Caption Panel option that's right underneath large cursor.
Caption Panel on. Double tap to toggle setting.
So again, that just gives you another representation of what VoiceOver is reading aloud, and this could be a really helpful feature for developers as a way of testing apps and websites, because they can turn off the speech for VoiceOver but still see a visual representation while VoiceOver is reading out loud as they navigate the controls in an app or a website. Thanks so much for watching this video focusing on 3 new features for VoiceOver in iOS 13.